The young and the restless spoilers, a web of vengeance and betrayal, the battle for Billy's soul in the tangled labyrinth of Genoa City's ongoing power struggles. A new storm was brewing, a storm that threatened to tear apart alliances and shatter lives. At the heart of this turmoil was Phyllis, a woman whose cunning and thirst for revenge knew no bounds. With her eyes set on Victor, the patriarch of the formidable Newman family, Phyllis hatched a diabolical plan to use Billy as her unwitting pawn in a scheme designed to exact a bitter vengeance. Phyllis's sinister plot. Phyllis had long nursed a seething grudge against Victor. Her heart, hardened by past betrayals and the relentless pursuit of her own ambitions, found solace only in the thought of seeing him brought low. In her eyes, Victor represented everything that was wrong in the world of power and wealth, a man who had built his empire on deception, cruelty, and manipulation. Driven by this loathing, Phyllis saw an opportunity in Billy, whose own animosity toward the Newman family had been growing for years. Though Billy's hatred was genuine and his wounds were deep, he was a man at a crossroads, a man whose passion for revenge could easily lead him astray if not tempered by reason. Phyllis, ever the schemer, set her plan in motion. With a silver tongue and an air of false compassion, she manipulated Billy's vulnerable state, feeding his rage and convincing him that the only path to true justice was a ruthless, unbridled attack on Victor. "You must strike with all your might," she would hiss in private moments, her words laced with venom. "He deserves nothing less than your fiercest assault, even if that means taking his life." Her relentless urging painted a stark picture, a bloody confrontation in which Billy, driven by vengeance, would dismantle the Newman dynasty once and for all. In Phyllis's eyes, this was not just a means to settle a score but a grand act of retribution, a final, irrevocable statement against the corruption and cruelty embodied by Victor. Sally's eyes opened to the trap, but as with all carefully laid traps, there were those who saw through the veneer of Phyllis's manipulations. Sally, ever watchful and fiercely protective of those she cared about, recognized the danger lurking behind Phyllis's words. She had long observed Billy's inner turmoil, a deep-seated grudge against the Newman family that was ripe for exploitation. Sally knew that while Billy's desire for revenge was understandable, succumbing to such a destructive path would only lead him deeper into darkness. When Sally first caught wind of Phyllis's plan, her heart sank. She saw clearly that Billy, though burdened by pain, had the potential to choose a different road, a path that would allow him to heal rather than perpetuate the cycle of hatred. To her, Phyllis's machinations were a threat not only to Billy but to the fragile bonds of love and family that held their community together. Determined to intervene before it was too late, Sally resolved to act. The desperate race to save Billy, joining forces with Chloe, another kindred spirit who shared Sally's concerns, the two women embarked on a desperate mission to rescue Billy from the brink of self-destruction. They understood that time was of the essence. Every moment Billy lingered in the grip of Phyllis's influence increased the likelihood that he would commit an irreversible act of violence, forever staining his soul with regret and sorrow. Yet, awakening Billy from his stupor of vengeance was no simple task. Years of accumulated grief and anger had left him emotionally numb, and Phyllis's calculated manipulations had only deepened his resolve to take matters into his own hands. Sally and Chloe faced an uphill battle. One where every effort to reach out to Billy was met with resistance and bitter defiance. Their mission was not just to save a man from the precipice of ruin but also to reclaim the love and hope that once defined his spirit. The treacherous betrayal of love complicating matters further was the tragic collateral damage in the midst of this bitter war, a war that had already claimed too many innocent hearts. Phyllis, in her quest for vengeance, sought to sever the tender bond between Billy and Sally. Exploiting Billy's inherent compassion and the emotional scars of his past, she sowed seeds of doubt and discord, urging him to abandon the love that had once been his anchor. "Leave Sally behind," she whispered with a calculated cruelty, "and let her know that your destiny lies solely in the pursuit of vengeance. Trust in me, and you will have the power to wipe out every trace of the Newman legacy." Her words, poisonous and persuasive, began to erode the foundation of trust between Billy and Sally. For a fleeting moment, it seemed as if the light of love might be extinguished by the darkness of revenge. Yet, in this maelstrom of treachery, Sally refused to let go without a fight. Her love for Billy was not blind, it was rooted in a deep understanding that true healing could only come from forgiveness and unity, not from the bitter taste of retribution. Jack's stand, a beacon of hope amid the chaos and manipulation, another figure emerged, a stalwart beacon of hope in a sea of despair. Jack, Billy's brother and a man known for his unwavering commitment to family, took up the mantle of resistance. He had long believed that Billy deserved a life filled with joy, light, and hope, a life free from the chains of endless suffering and the corrosive lure of revenge. Jack's intervention was both timely and poignant. He confronted the warped narrative that Phyllis had woven around Billy, arguing that violence and hatred would only perpetuate a cycle of pain. "You owe it to yourself," he implored, "to choose a path that leads to healing, not to ruin. Our family has already suffered enough. We deserve a future where we can live without the burden of these vendettas." His words resonated deeply with those who had long seen the potential for redemption in Billy, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there was always a chance for change and reconciliation. Jack's steadfast support for Sally and Chloe reinforced the idea that love and unity were the only true antidotes to the poison of revenge. The final confrontation. As tensions escalated, the stage was set for a final confrontation, a clash of ideologies where every word, every gesture, carried the weight of destiny. Phyllis, undeterred by the growing resistance, continued to press her agenda with unrelenting fervor. She believed that her plan was flawless, that Billy's descent into darkness was inevitable unless she saw to it that he followed the path she had laid out. With each passing moment, her machinations grew more brazen, her threats more pointed. Meanwhile, Sally and Chloe, bolstered by Jack's unwavering support, prepared to do whatever it took to rescue Billy from the abyss. They understood that the battle was not merely against Phyllis, but against the very allure of revenge that had ensnared so many before. In a dramatic showdown that crackled with raw emotion and piercing resolve, they confronted Phyllis in a final bid to reclaim the man they loved from the clutches of hatred. The confrontation was explosive. Words flew like shards of broken glass, accusations, declarations, and desperate pleas for understanding filled the air. Phyllis, with a sneer of contempt, warned them, "You think you can save him? That you can make him see reason? You have no idea of the power that lies within him when unleashed. Let him go, or suffer the consequences." But Sally's reply was a clarion call to the spirit of redemption. "Billy is more than the sum of your lies. We will not let you tear apart what we hold dear." A battle for the soul of the family. In that heated moment, the very soul of the family hung in the balance. Billy's future teetered on the edge, a precarious juncture where one wrong step could plunge him into an abyss of perpetual grief and regret. The clash between the forces of vengeance and the power of love became a symbol of the eternal struggle between darkness and light. Billy, torn by conflicting loyalties, stood as the embodiment of this timeless battle. Jack's impassioned plea echoed through the confrontation, "Choose life, Billy. Choose love over hatred. We are here for you, and together we can forge a future that leaves behind the shadows of our past." His words, imbued with hope and determination, sought to remind Billy of the man he once was, the man capable of forgiveness, of growth, and of finding joy even after the deepest of wounds. The aftermath, a fragile hope as the dust settled from the explosive showdown, the echoes of that fateful confrontation continued to reverberate through Genoa City. Phyllis's sinister plot, though temporarily thwarted by the united front of Sally, Chloe, and Jack, had left scars that would take time to heal. Billy remained caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, a man whose heart was torn between the lure of vengeance and the promise of a brighter, more compassionate future. For Sally, the fight to save Billy was far from over. Every moment was a delicate balancing act, a constant struggle to pull him back from the brink of despair. Yet, in the midst of the turmoil, there was a glimmer of hope. A belief that love, no matter how battered, could eventually triumph over the forces of hatred and manipulation. Jack's unwavering support for his brother and the family's steadfast determination to forge a better future became the guiding light in these dark times. Together, they vowed to stand against the insidious forces that sought to tear them apart, to prove that even the deepest wounds could be healed by the enduring power of love and unity. Epilogue: the road to redemption. In the end, the battle for Billy's soul was not just a personal struggle, it was a reflection of the timeless conflict between revenge and redemption. Phyllis's cunning schemes had sown discord and threatened to plunge the family into chaos, but the collective strength of Sally, Chloe, and Jack offered a counterbalance, a promise that no matter how potent the allure of vengeance, there would always be a choice to embrace hope. The scars left by this tumultuous period would not vanish overnight. Yet, in the quiet moments that followed the storm, there emerged a tentative optimism. Billy, though wounded by betrayal and grief, began to glimpse the possibility of a future unburdened by endless suffering. With his family rallying around him, he faced the daunting task of rebuilding his life, this time, guided by the promise of healing, love, and the hope of redemption. In Genoa City, where every secret held the potential to ignite chaos and every act of defiance could alter the course of destiny, one truth remained immutable: the bonds of family, once forged in the fires of hardship, were resilient enough to overcome even the darkest of plots. And as the family stepped forward into an uncertain tomorrow, they carried with them the belief that true strength lay not in revenge, but in the courage to choose love over hate, unity over division, and hope over despair. In this unfolding saga of treachery and redemption, Phyllis's ruthless manipulation and the desperate struggle to save Billy serve as stark reminders of the choices that define us. The battle for the soul of the family is far from over, but as long as there are hearts willing to fight for the truth, the promise of a better, brighter future will always burn on. In the intricate world of Genoa City, where power plays and family feuds are as common as sunrise, a new twist in the ongoing saga of revenge and ambition has emerged. Billy's latest scheme, to ally himself with Aristotle Dumas in a bid to reclaim the coveted title of Prime Minister, was meant to be a bold step forward. However, Phyllis, with her notorious cunning and unyielding nature, has flatly opposed this new plan. Phyllis's relentless opposition. Phyllis has never been one to embrace the idea of retribution. Unlike Billy, who has long been fueled by a desire for vengeance against Victor Newman and Adam Newman, Phyllis insists that true strength lies in looking ahead and forging a future free of past grudges. Her voice, cool and decisive, echoes through the corridors of power as she condemns Billy's plot. Revenge is a dead end, she warns, her tone both sharp and resolute. You must leave your hatred behind if you are to reclaim your rightful place. In her eyes, Billy's fixation on settling old scores undermines his potential and blinds him to the opportunities that lie ahead. Sally's lingering doubts. Yet, not everyone is convinced by Phyllis's seemingly magnanimous advice. Sally, ever perceptive and deeply acquainted with Phyllis's past manipulations, harbors suspicions about her true motivations. Sally recalls all too well how Phyllis's schemes have, in the past, stirred turmoil, often igniting Billy's anger toward the Newmans. To Sally, it appears that Phyllis might be the very force that has been fanning the flames of Billy's fury. As she watches the unfolding drama, Sally begins to wonder if Phyllis's opposition is less about guiding Billy toward a better future and more about reclaiming control over him. A private venting session one day, unable to contain her frustration and disquiet, Sally confides in her close friend Chloe Mitchell. In hushed tones away from prying ears, Sally vents, "Phyllis has always been manipulative. I believe she's the one who stirred up Billy's anger against Victor and Adam. Now she's trying to pull him back into her orbit again." Her words carry the weight of past experiences and warn of a cycle that might repeat itself, a cycle of betrayal and emotional turmoil that could derail Billy's progress. Chloe listens intently, her eyes narrowing as she processes Sally's concerns. Recognizing the danger of allowing Phyllis to continue influencing Billy, Chloe's resolve hardens. "We cannot let her win," Chloe asserts. "Billy deserves a future where his decisions are his own, not marred by the deceitful tactics of someone who only cares about her own agenda." The call to action inspired by Chloe's passionate words and Sally's unwavering clarity, a plan begins to form. Chloe convinces Sally that it is time to take matters into her own hands. "Use your cunning, Sally," Chloe urges. "We have to remove Phyllis from the equation before she can manipulate Billy any further." The two women understand that the stakes are higher than mere personal disagreements. This is about Billy's future, a future where his path is not dictated by revenge or shadowed by hidden agendas. They decide to confront Phyllis directly, gathering every scrap of evidence and every whispered secret of her past machinations. Their goal is simple: to expose her true intentions and to free Billy from the cycle of manipulation that has held him captive for too long. A battle for the soul of ambition. In a dramatic twist that epitomizes the volatile nature of Genoa City, the confrontation unfolds in a high-stakes meeting. Sally and Chloe, armed with their carefully assembled evidence and an unwavering determination, corner Phyllis in her own inner sanctum. The room is thick with tension as Sally accuses Phyllis of stirring up animosity and deliberately pitting Billy against those who care about him. Phyllis, ever defiant, meets their accusations with a cool, calculated smile. "I'm merely speaking the truth," she retorts, her voice silky yet laced with contempt. Billy's anger is his own, not mine. But Sally's eyes blaze with indignation as she fires back. "Don't you see? Your actions in the past set this in motion. You made him believe that the only way to get back at Victor and Adam was to hold on to that bitterness. Now you're trying to pull him back into that destructive vortex." The ultimatum. Realizing that mere words may not suffice to break Phyllis's hold, Chloe delivers an ultimatum. "Billy must choose his own path," she declares. "And if you continue to meddle in his affairs, we will do everything in our power to ensure you're permanently removed from his life." The threat hangs in the air like a palpable force, an irreversible line drawn in the sand. Sally nods in agreement, her resolve unshaken. She knows that while Phyllis's opposition to Billy's alliance with Aristotle Dumas might appear noble on the surface, it is nothing more than another scheme to control him. The dilemma for Billy. Meanwhile, Billy finds himself at a critical juncture. Caught between his desire for retribution against the Newman family and the possibility of a brighter, more independent future, Billy is plagued by uncertainty. On one hand, his alliance with Aristotle Dumas represents a bold step toward reclaiming power and rectifying past injustices. On the other, the shadow of Phyllis's manipulation looms large, threatening to drag him back into old patterns of anger and bitterness. Billy's inner turmoil is palpable. Each decision feels weighted with consequences that stretch far beyond his personal vendettas. The future he envisions, a future where he rises above the cycle of revenge, is tantalizingly close yet marred by the lingering influence of those who seek to control him. The road ahead. As the confrontation concludes, the ripple effects of that decisive moment begin to take hold in Genoa City. Sally and Chloe's bold stand against Phyllis serves as a rallying cry for change, a declaration that the time for manipulative power plays is over. Their message is clear: Billy must be allowed to forge his own destiny, free from the shackles of past grudges and the machinations of those who would use him for their own ends. For Sally, the battle is personal. She has seen too many lives derailed by Phyllis's interference, and she is determined to ensure that Billy's future is not sacrificed on the altar of revenge. Billy deserves better, Sally insists. He deserves a chance to be truly happy, unburdened by the past and untainted by deceit. Chloe, standing firmly by her side, reinforces the sentiment with a steely resolve. "We will do whatever it takes to keep Phyllis out of his life," she vows. "Together, we will protect him and make sure he follows the right path." Epilogue: a new beginning on the horizon. In the aftermath of this intense showdown, the dynamics in Genoa City begin to shift. The confrontation with Phyllis has not only exposed her true colors but also ignited a spark of hope among those who believe in the power of redemption and self-determination. Billy's journey remains fraught with challenges, but with allies like Sally and Chloe at his side, there is a renewed sense of possibility. As the city prepares for the next chapter of its ever-evolving saga, one thing is clear: the struggle for control, identity, and freedom is far from over. But for Billy, at least, there is now a chance to choose a future defined not by the ghosts of the past, but by the promise of a new beginning, one where the bonds of family and the courage to stand up for what is right can triumph over even the most cunning schemes. In this high-stakes battle for Billy's soul, every decision matters, every alliance is tested, and every whispered secret carries the weight of destiny. And as the fight to reclaim his future intensifies, Billy must ultimately decide who will shape his path: the manipulative allure of revenge, or the liberating promise of hope and independence.